Good evening, everyone. What an honor it is to be here tonight, especially as a newly elected vice mayor alongside Congresswoman Simon. I'm so excited you are hosting this town hall here in Alameda. We are joined also by Councilmember Bowler, School Board Trustee Ryan Lamont, School Board Trustee Hall, so I'd like to thank each of you for taking your time on a Friday night to engage with Congresswoman Simon and Assemblymember Bonta about critical issues before us. And Congresswoman, your presence speaks volumes, and as I've quickly learned, this community cares deeply. Just earlier this month, we saw that passion firsthand when more than 1,000 Alamedans gathered at City Hall to share their priorities and express their concerns about healthcare, LGBTQ plus rights, climate justice, education, immigration, and so much more. One of the volunteers read a statement from you, and there were resounding cheers to your unwavering commitment to fighting back against the divisive, unproductive, undemocratic, unconstitutional, and illegal policies emanating from Washington, D.C. And so I am proud that Alameda's priorities align directly with yours. We are committed to enhancing our community's safety and services. We must build resilience to climate change. We must invest strategically in our transportation, infrastructure, and economy. We believe in the importance of housing all Alamedans and ending homelessness. Yeah. And we are dedicated to achieving these goals by practicing responsible, equitable, and inclusive governance. So Congresswoman Simon, thank you again for being here tonight. Your commitment means so much to me personally and to the entire Alameda community. We are grateful for your partnership and appreciate your hardworking staff for coordinating. Thank you. All right. Hello. Hi, everybody. I'm very tempted to stand. I'll maintain decorum. Hello, good evening. Thank you, Alameda, for being here tonight. We are so excited. My name is Enan Chan. And I am very honored, deeply honored, to serve as District Director for Congresswoman Lateefah Simon. I'm on my second week. I'm on day 10. Thank you in advance for your patience and your grace. But I am I want to first extend our thanks to Alameda, the city of Alameda, and Alameda City Hall, and Sarah Henry. With that, I want everyone to know I will be your moderator for tonight. And so I will do my best to keep us on time. So also, thank you in advance for your kindness and grace there. We'll hear tonight from our Congresswoman and our Assembly Member, Mia Bonta. And then after that conversation, I'll facilitate a Q&A. I know you've already seen our wonderful team members running around with the hat sheets. We would love for you to put your questions down. That is the best way for us to get your contact information and stay in touch. So we would really love it if folks could fill those out. I will do my best to consolidate those by theme and ask the questions that we have sort of the most behind certain themes. We do want to hear from you as well, though. So we will open up the mic for live questions towards the end, time permitting. But we do have a limited time in this space. So just wanted to put that out there. With that, I am very, very, very excited to kick us off by introducing our Congresswoman Lateefah Simon. Thank you.
appreciate the warm welcome, and I promise I won't stand up the whole time. But I did want to properly, just say thank you. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for trusting me in these wild times. I particularly also want to thank our folks who are differently able, who came out tonight. Community front and center, Alameda, I'm getting the calls at my office. Believe me, y'all are working very hard. Whether, I don't know if you're with Indivisible, if you're with a coffee shop down the street, but the hundreds of calls we are getting in our office every week. I'll say a majority of them are coming from the city of Alameda. A loving community, so thank you. I actually, I really wanted, Miss Bonta here tonight with me for a number of reasons. You have been such a mentor, so wonderful. I'm gonna tell you a little story, actually. So there's a lot to talk about. Saving the democracy, right? Fighting back tyranny, right? How beautiful actually we are and how we will sustain the durable movement. But it's really important for me to sort of be transparent and why this moment feels so wonderful to me. Assemblymember Bonta, has been in my life for, over 12 years. My husband passed away from cancer. One of the reasons why I ran for Congress, like many families, who struggle with before Trump, you all know, cancer, you can't fight cancer on a budget. I had a little baby and, Kevin passed away. Literally the next day, I didn't know Mia from Sam, and he showed up at my door with boxes of books for Layla, who is now 14. She was a baby, she was just 3 at the time. Dinner and a little bit of cash. This is before you even thought about running for office, but you and your husband, you knew that I was an activist and I was an organizer and I was a new widow and an only parent to Layla and at that time, my 18-year-olds, and you showed up. You showed up. You are good people. When I called you and asked you, what did you think about me running for Congress? And I also asked, are you gonna run? If you run, I'm not running. You are amazing and have, so much in the soil here in Alameda and throughout the county and your work for young people. What Mia said, Lateefah, I've been mentoring you for over 10 years. Whatever you need, I'm right there. Now that is sisterhood. I am on blue sky, and a few of you have said I ramble too long. I am not going to do this today. I'm really going to try to keep it really short in terms of what I've been doing in Congress. But I actually want to go right into a conversation with my assembly member and my mentor and friend, because we will do nothing if the East Bay electorate is not organized and in harmony together. So we're going to talk a little bit about the work that we're doing together, what's really at top of mind, and then we'll go straight into your questions. So yes, you all elected me on November 5th. It seems like 3,000 years ago. I went to Washington, D.C. To begin orientation. And yes, these rose-colored glasses, I believed for just a few seconds that the new members of Congress on the other side of the aisle, that I would be able to work very well with them. Well, that changed very quickly. But that said, I still went in knowing and understanding what my role was. Actually, you gave me some of this advice. You said, when I won, you're not going in as a principal, you're going in as a legislator. It means that you must be in communication with people who don't believe that you're human. The work is to move forward. Well, that was some good advice, because let me tell you, it's been shocking. The vitriol in the Capitol, Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of our party, says consistently to the younger members of Congress that every day you have to arm yourselves, spiritually arm yourselves as if you're going into the Coliseum. The members of the Republican Party, I will tell you very quickly, the venom is rancid, and it is everywhere. It's on the elevators, it's in the hall. Right after the January 6th were pardoned, Marjorie Taylor Greene were taking them on a tour of my office building in Longworth. It is a horrific environment, and yet I have so much hope. I have so much hope. So I just want to give you just a quick of what we've been doing legislatively. I want to talk about the movement work that you all are central in. I want to also talk about later in the conversation how we fight back. I do believe in the short term, people are suffering. But this evil cannot stand. We will win. I want to say thank you. You know, coming into Congress as a new freshman, Ms. Lee has been a fantastic mentor. I have made it my point not to just be there and be a shrinking violet. You know, I came to not only be in the body, in the Democratic body, we came to lead. I'm the vice chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. I'm the only freshman to hold that role. I thought it was extremely important, you know, not only I thought about when I was running, I was like, I want to be freshman class president, because, you know, like, you don't do it, you gotta be, you know, competitive. But, you know, it was actually with Catherine Clark, who's a fantastic sister, an amazing advocate for disability rights and Medicare and Medicaid. You know, she's right under Hakeem Jeffries. There's the leader and there's the whip. And the whip is responsible for making sure that all House Democrats are in accord. Pretty much there. She's fantastic. She said, Lateefah, I don't want you to run for freshman class president. I actually want to make you a deputy policy whip. Wow. So in, you know, less than 2 weeks of being in Congress, I am in leadership in the Democratic Party. And what it has allowed me to do is be just extremely aggressive and putting forward what we all know should be our priorities. It is holding the line for queer kids. It is holding the line for transgender folks. It is holding the line for the generations. It is holding the line to ensure that we get health care when we need it. It's holding the line to ensure, and I'm saying this every single time we have a WHIP meeting, to ensure we put it on messaging as Democrats, that all is not lost, and we've been here before. 90% of your mothers in this room were not born into a democracy. For them, they weren't allowed to vote. Many of us had to come in the back of rooms. Many of our folks, their grandmothers were wet nurses. We have been in situations, not collectively, but we have watched folks fight with all that they've had to be a part of the democracy. So here we are again. In a country less than 300 years old, they are trying to rip the republic from what the framers envisioned, but I guarantee you the movement that is developing both on the legislative side and the litigation side is moving. We, you know, listen. In my short time, you know, in the Congress, and folks do know that even just to get one bill passed in the Congress, it often takes a good bill, it takes an average of about 6 to 7 years. In the first 3 months, I passed my first bill. The Senate for Action, it receives 100% Republican and Democratic support. I'm on the Small Business Committee, and again, I wanted to do a lot of work around transit and infrastructure. You know that that's where my heart is, as a disabled woman, a legally blind woman. But again, the challenge was to be on a committee to deliver back resources, material resources to folks in this community. Our main streets, our broadways, and you know, right here in Alameda, you are seeing the realities post-COVID of government not supporting small businesses. Well, you got me in that room. And I guarantee you, it's kind of a sleepy committee, but not anymore. Right? But we've also co-led 5 other House bills. But again, my bill, I'm very proud of it. We actually have a second bill that I have co-authored in the hopper that is focused on disability rights, incentivizing small businesses around the country with both resources and tax credits. And for God's sakes, can we prioritize hiring disability members of the disability community, not small businesses? So again, you know, we've signed on to all the strongly worded demand letters, over 150. I believe in the processes that we have in the Congress. I know also it's not enough being in the minority. We don't have the House. I cannot filibuster. That is given, those rights are given to the Senate. We cannot impeach because we need 218 votes. We only have 213 members, you know, of the Democratic Party who are in the House. We don't have the votes, but our work then is to get those other 5. When I voted no on every single reconciliation bill that came in front of my desk, you have seen my voting record. I will continue to do so. Yes, I am very angry with Chuck Schumer for giving the little bit of we're not done. And the next few weeks, you actually will see Watch C-SPAN. My mother is watching C-SPAN, so I'm hoping you watch it. She sees my glasses going across the floor. You know, you saw me well. I am living every opportunity I get, not just with Democrats, but with Republicans. We have work to do, but I believe why and how we will win, and we can get into some of this in the question and answers after our conversation. When you take away even, a teeny percentage of Medicaid and Medicare, you dilapidate full infrastructure, not just for the poor, but for the middle class. You can't tell me that in this county, where over 43% of the folks in our county get Medicaid and Medicare, if that is slashed by any percentage, your hospital, your physician, your lab tech, your pathologist, your oncologist will deeply be affected. This is all of our fight. It's also the fight of the poor folks in Southern Iowa. It's the fight of poor folks who voted red in West Virginia. It's the fight of poor white farmers who they have a crop of soybeans that are literally rotting now because their contract with USAID is null and void. I believe folks are going to rise up. We're seeing it every single day. Why Mike Johnson made it so that the congressional vote calendar is now 5 days a week instead of 3, because he knows Republicans can't go home and do town halls, because he knows that folks are pissed at him. They want to try to move as much garbage as possible in the next 3 weeks, but you know what? Folks across the country, again, red and blue, and libertarian, and folks who don't even vote in the process, they're getting actualized and mobilized. So yes, when you're carrying your sign at Lake Merritt, it matters. We need a durable movement that is consistent, that moves us now, not just in 26. So again, you can go to the site. I would love to answer some of your questions. We're doing stuff on the legislative front. More importantly to me, we're supposed to legislate. No one's supposed to vote no. I will vote the conscience of this city consistently. But what I'm so excited about is our collaboration, our partners on the litigation front. Hell yeah to the ACLU. Litigation going forth every single minute. And absolutely, the FBI just arrested a sitting judge today. I know they are going to be suing. Yeah, and we can't trust the courts. I get it. But I still believe in the fundamental aspects. I mean, ask our Yale lawyer right here. We have to believe in the durability of the Constitution. In this moment, I believe while we have right-wing judges, for the most part, we do have constitutionalists on the bench. It'll be a fight, but legislatively, from a litigation standpoint, the movement that you all are creating, it's too big. It's too big for them to stand. So with that, I just wanted to give you a quick update. Again, I want to impeach. We got to get the votes. I want to continue to legislate. I want to continue to do that work. We're also setting up an amazing district office. You can learn more about that from our wonderful staff who are in the room. But moreover, here at home, we got some healing to do, right? So let's talk. Want to talk for a few minutes with our wonderful assembly? I can't believe we're here. I can't believe we're here in your town with Race for Babies. I actually wanted us to just have a brief conversation about the correlation of some of the 3 big issues that you and I are really keeping us up at night, knowing that folks in our community here, but all over the country, frankly, all over the world, are watching in horror. Immigration, education, justice, and what's happening with, again, the social safety net, the threats to the social safety net. And it's not just the votes that we're waiting for the reconciliation process to be what it will be, but we're also seeing just a devastating slash and burn of federal employees that are now literally jobless who were serving all of us in this room. So I want to give you an opportunity to just talk a little bit about how you're seeing this from the state frame. And then really, auntie, mentor, friend, your expectations of our office, what you're doing and what you need from us.
Well, my Congresswoman Lateefah Simon, I will never ever get tired of saying that. I feel so blessed and honored that we get to have you as our Congresswoman up there, making such a big difference from day one with your presence and your grace and your voice, representing all of us so incredibly well. The last time I was in this room, in this seat, was 6 years ago, and seeing you all here today, making sure that we have an opportunity to hear about how we need to be able to move forward it's really a blessing and a solve. And on a Friday after such a long, such a long week in Sacramento. And I just want to share a couple things about this lady here. So you're a single mom, you had to make a big decision to take your baby and say, I'm gonna help with you and put you in this world of DC while I try to, save our democracy. And we've had a lot of conversations about that. And I just want to say that you've shown up and taken that trip back and forth from DC back to this district to make sure that you could be available and present for us here. And that is so important because that is the legacy of the teaching that our Congresswoman Barbara Lee taught me, and something I think that we both abide by, and that is not to be dismissed because the work that you do is incredibly hard, and we're so thankful that you make it back to us every single time. The last time, we were talking about one of the three issues that you raised. We were in community with our county supervisor, Nikki Fortunato Bass, talking about immigration. And the need to be able to protect in this moment our undocumented people, but quite frankly, anyone who is brown and who looks like an immigrant or who could be identified as somebody who could be not deported, because that is a legal process, a civil process, but literally disappeared. Yes. Because we know what is happening right now because of what has been allowed and the rhetoric and the hate that I don't like to say Washington, because you're in Washington. I have to be specific. It is the GOP, it is Donald Trump, it is Elon Musk who's doing this to us. I want to be clear about that because we have fighters like you every single day in the Democratic Party working for us, who have made it such a state that we really need to be afraid of being disappeared when we decide to go travel, when we decide to go, any of us, to have our information and our privacy violated by having information taken away from us. That is the moment that we're in. Now, the night that Trump was elected, I got the rare grace of sitting down with somebody who was in immigration services for 15 years. And she said to me, you gotta get to work right now. The night of the election. Because she, like I, had read Project 2025, as you had. It was very clear what the intention was. And every single page of that, every clause, sentence is happening to us right now. On the immigration front, one thing that I'm very proud that the state legislature moved very quickly into action around was having a special session that allowed for us to do two things. One was to make sure that the Department of Justice could ready itself for the lawsuits that we knew were about to come down for immigration services protection and quite frankly, our civil liberties. That person who runs the DOJ, who I happen to know very well, is on their 16th case against the federal government.
The federal government over these wild, ridiculously irresponsible tariffs. So I'm so excited about that work. Thank you so much to the other Bonta. We are working very closely with Mr. Bonta and the governor on that particular piece of litigation. We're very excited that we will prevail.
Yeah. And then the second part was we take $25 million to be able to reinvest in the infrastructure for immigration services and supports and legal aid. And we are seeing now that infrastructure that was developed during Trump 1.0 is back in full action, and even still is still not quite enough. So the California Legislative Latino Caucus that I'm so proud to be a part of has moved forward about 12 different bills with urgency. So as soon as they're signed, they will go into effect to protect our sensitive spaces. That's our hospitals, our schools, our childcare centers, all of the places, our faith-based centers, everywhere we go, where we know that people want to just be able to live their lives and want to do so without the sense that ICE is going to be there to try to have their families disappear. I'm moving forward legislation that allows for our unaccompanied minors, of which we have 40,000 in the state of California, who need to be able to have the right to representation in civil proceedings. I'm talking about babies, 6-month-olds.
Yep.
Who are showing up, and then I just saw a video of a 60-year-old, had his little earphones put on, sat in a chair that looked like this in front of a judge, and was told that he needed to be able to figure out what his legal causes were, for being able to stay, and receive kind of fair justice right now. So we're moving forward with making sure that we're focusing specifically, as you know, I care deeply on our babies, in that work. And there's so much more that we are fired up and ready to go around related to immigration services. But I have to say that the partnership and the collaboration between what we are doing at the state level and knowing what you are doing, what Senator Padilla is doing, what Adam Schiff is doing to be able to ensure in both the Congress and the Senate that we are holding the line is incredibly important. And I know it's very meaningful to the people who are in those, are part of those advocacy groups and service groups. And we know that there are people who are now living in the shadows, who feel afraid to go shopping, to go to church, to go to school, to get health care. And I want us all to take a deep breath and know that each and every one of us has something that we can do about that. If it's nothing more than looking somebody in the eye who looks scared and letting them know we are going to be okay. On a human to human level, we all have the power to do that and so much more when we work together.
I appreciate that, I have a couple more questions for you, now I'm gonna come down, so we can actually have a conversation. One, hopefully of lots. It's gonna be a long 4 years unless we can impeach. And it's gonna be, I appreciate you bringing back the air and the breath that we need, because this is going to be a marathon of endurance and frankly, figuring out how folks can take care of one another. We have done it before in very harsh times. But you're absolutely right. You know, a couple of weeks ago, during NBA weekend, I didn't want to go to the fancy stuff. I actually don't like the fancy stuff. But there was a school in Oakland, and they were, you know, having electives come out and do stuff. I don't really understand baseball, I mean basketball, whatever. I was like, okay, well, just have Curry and his wife, they're gonna do some gardening at the school in East Oakland. And, you know, I love this pen, not for self-importance, but it's the congressional pen, and less than 80 Black women have ever worn this pen out of 11,000 members of Congress. Assemblywomen who just, you know, they started coming around. It felt really sweet. I'm a mama. I love the babies. And this young boy, with these like huge cheeks, and he had a little bowl cut. And he didn't hug me. He said, "La migra." And he said, "My parents are good people." I just said, "Baby, I'm not here from immigration." And he said, you don't like Trump?" And I said, "Absolutely not." He hugs me so much. And so when you think about, again, the cross-sector pain, the intersectional pain that family members, cross generations are feeling, that child who was in the second grade fearful of his hardworking parents who are paying taxes, working with their bodies, and yet still just trying to do the right thing. His teacher told me that he hides under the bed oftentimes at night, right? You know, can you talk just a little bit about what your office, you know, our offices are working together. Thank you for helping us, you know, come into this space around our case management services. You can talk about the Know Your Rights work that you're doing. We'd love to kind of hear what you're doing around education, and where we are with the dilapidation of DOE, and then we'll start taking some questions.
Yeah, so I love that I get to be a legislator. Part of that work is making sure that we do budget oversight. We put together a balanced budget every single year. It's a hard thing to do. Just FYI, state of California right now there's an expectation, this is going to be the down moment, that we will need to cut between $10 to $20 billion from our state budget in this fiscal year. So everybody take a breath and hold that in, because we are going to need to make sure that we are not cutting into our bone in this moment right now. But the thing that I am most proud of is the work that our district office does here around constituent services. And Haley Hester is here, my district director, who oversees that work. And I think we have an alum who is now with you, who is amazing at that work, Hester Zavala, who is now doing that same work in your office. But the constituent services work. So if you have an issue or concern where you know that you've reached the end of the line, or even kind of nearing the end of the line, and there is a state agency that is not showing up for you in the way that you know that they are supposed to, a county agency that is just not showing up for you, whether it's EDD, whether it's DMV, whether it's housing and community development, all of those calls, you can pick up the phone and call our office and talk to a live person. Haley and our team, Sky, Sam, Rakia, who are there to help you navigate through that moment. And we get, I don't know, maybe 300 of those calls in a weekish. And we take great pride in making sure that we're resolving as many of those cases as we can for you. So when you feel incredibly stuck, please reach out to our office and seek help. I will say that the calls that we are getting the most frequently now, just to give you a sense of what people are really struggling with, is a lot of calls from our LGBTQ community, our trans community that is wondering how they are going to be able to go through a name change or deal with the name change that they might have to in order to be able to continue to travel. We're having a town hall, hopefully, I think you're supposed to be there with the LGBTQ services community in June to be able to more broadly address that. Obviously, we're always getting calls around the housing affordability issues, people getting removed from their homes, not being able to stay in their homes, really issues around tenant services and supports, which we help to resolve to the best of our ability. And so DMV tenant services, and just making sure that we have, and calls around sightings of people who are in sensitive spaces and sensitive service points where we want to just know. We want to know if you see something where you feel like there's the federal government is intervening in the protection and the actions of our ability to live our daily lives. It's very helpful for you to reach out and let us know that as well, because that is important information that we then take to our other legislators and the speaker and the assembly and the Senate to really help sort out. So please know that we are there for you, and very happy to see Sarah. I represent Oakland, Alameda, and Emeryville, and all three city councils and city administrations we have very strong relationships with, because we want to help to protect us in this moment around the things that we've made progress on, climate, and where federal funding is getting cut as we speak, climate resilience, our schools, social service safety nets, Head Start, for goodness sake, right? List goes on and on. So we need to know what is happening to you, what kind of impact is happening to you, and to the extent that we have the ability to do something about it and just kind of provide some salve and navigate in that moment, we are going to do that work, because we do that work very well. And if I don't do that work, Atlanta does that work, and our team does that work. I will love on them and say that they do that incredibly well. And I'm very thankful that they do it so well.
I do want to make sure you should hang out, because if there's a question too hard for the state, I'm sending it right back to you. I want to thank our wonderful Assemblymember for being here. She has the top of the line case team. We're going to learn a little bit more about our case team at the end. I promised you all that we would develop an amazing office, and we are, I think, 80% fully staffed. You want to say who they are?
Yes. Say thank you so much, Assemblymember.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
And thank you for shouting out your district office. I am very proud and very excited to be stepping into the helm of leading our district office. We have an incredible team. We're just building it out. We're going to be located in downtown Oakland. I think you've seen some of our amazing team members today. We've got Ellie, we've got Hester, we've got Tisha. Then we've got incredible Sally, who flew in from DC to be a part of the team. Yes, our district office is here for you, so please reach out, please keep in touch. We're getting this 50 for you, but once it's ready, we're gonna have an open house. And just like the assembly member said, we are here to serve you. If there are federal agencies you're struggling with or issues that you have, we are here to help. I can say that we've already answered over 3,000 calls, and we've closed over 75 constituent cases, and we've returned over $11,000 from Social Security to constituents. So,
So do you have some questions for me?
yes, with that, I'm going to
It
read.
feels so strange being behind you. I'm elected to Alameda. I'm just a council member, so I'm gonna come down here if that's okay.
So one of the questions we're getting a lot is what topics or opportunities are you finding to work with colleagues across the aisle?
It's a really important question. And I actually have some answers to that. I mean, I'm not sure if this is working, but can you all hear me?
There's another one right there.
Just keep talking.
1, 2. Could it be this one? Does this one work?
Yes.
So yes, disability justice, right? To me, again, it is, well, first of all, I'm so shocked that so the night of the last reconciliation vote, we have 13 holdouts on the Republican side. And, I'm new. Like I said, I have rose-colored glasses. I'm thinking, look, maybe actually we are going to have a few members of the party who do the right thing. 13 holdouts. By about 10:30, it was clear as they walked out one by one, because you could see who was being called literally by Donald Trump into the office, right? In the speaker's office, you could see them. And they would come back and then they would vote against the will of their own populations, against their own constituents. So I think what is happening, and I'm there on that floor every day, it's such a privilege, but to see it up front, to be close and to see that these folks, I believe, are fearful not only for their own seats, but they're fearful for their own lives. This is how sinister the administration has become. So while there are issues that I feel like, okay, well, I might be able to do some good stuff around some disability justice work. There are members with children who are disabled. We might be able to, I'm on the oversight committee. I have been extremely loud about sort of the disingenuous putting our veterans on stages within firing more than 10,000 veterans. We could talk about veteran security and homelessness, if not anything else. But our veterans are being completely disrespected, literally thrown out of services. If you are suicidal and you're trying to call 415-221-4810, which is the number to the VA Medical Center at Fort Miley, who knows that number in here? That's a real number. You're not going to get someone as good as you were just 4 months ago, right? So there's real. It is shocking. But again, I think our hope can't diminish. I thought I was going to be able to do a lot of work around veterans work. Thought I was going to be able to do that. There's some hope out there. Again, in the next 6 to 8 weeks, I guarantee from the polls that are out, the phone calls that we're getting, the folks that I'm talking to all over the country and on the ground, red or blue, Republican members of the House, they're not going to have a choice but to stand up for their people. That's going strong from our NGO partners. The private bars is doing a great job. The state courts, I still have a lot of faith in the folks on that bench. For every single executive order, folks are being, it's being clear that their constitutional rights are being taken away. Staff members of the Trump administration are violating the law every day. We must demand that our state courts and the federal courts hold these individuals, not just the administration, the individuals in the holding them not only in contempt of courts, and you're not going to hear me saying this often because I'm a justice reform advocate, but holding them in contempt and incarcerating people who continue liberty of everyday people. You can't disappear people in this country and take away the due processes. I guarantee you, if you don't care anything about these students who have been disappeared, I guarantee you they'll be coming for you next. More instead of being at Cal and saying you want to keep academic freedom, you will too be on the list. So unless we hold the staff members, the appointed members of this administration accountable and give them their rightful due process, we won't have a democracy.
We have a few questions from folks who are retired seniors, and they're very worried about their retirement money, Social Security, and Medicare.
I would love to, and I have some staff in the House. You know, just a couple weeks ago, in committee, you know, I talked about what it was like as a widow to stand outside of the Social Security office in Berkeley. In good times, it was still an hour wait just to get the little ticket in the morning. You all know what I'm talking about, right? Tens of thousands of employees, federal employees, have been fired. So even as you try to understand what your benefits may be, should they be crippled, you ain't gonna get nobody on the phone. Now, that is not a blue problem. That is not a red problem. That is an American problem. That's not a poor problem. That is not a middle class problem. That is an American problem. That is, we have a problem. So with our elders, our disabled folks, and yes, even our children who have lost their parents, for God's sake, for a party who claims to love the Bible. You know, John, you guys know, John, there's 1 and 2. I mean, it's like very clear, right? You know, you don't harm the child, the widow, the disabled, the sick, and the poor. They're doing just that every single day. I am worried. I'm not going to be somebody who tells you, tomorrow it's going to be fine. But the people in this country have paid into this social safety net, and you deserve your money monthly. You deserve your money. It should not be touched. Social Security should be expanded. I want to tell you something. In committee, I've also, talked clearly about the fact that we need government efficiency. We know that. I mean, in good times, how long are you waiting on the phone with the IRS? But government efficiency isn't a flash and burn activity. When you're thinking about taking away real benefits for folks who need and deserve the most, veterans and folks who have worked their whole lives, there's nothing more cruel. So again, continue, to push my office and to push other Democrats. Every moment that I get in committee, every moment that I get on the floor, I'm telling our stories, I'm calling Republican allies. That's going to be the organizing work that we're going to have to do. We only need a few more votes. We only need a few more votes in the United States House of Representatives. It's so close. That margin is so close. But I do think that there's just no way you're going to be able to cut into Social Security and Medicare and Medi-Cal without a national upheaval. Yeah. It's just no. And what are we going to do with them? I have to believe that some of these decisions that are continuing to come down this week, one about reversing, did you guys hear, did you read? The courts actually are now telling the Trump administration they have to reverse the yanking of these students. Yeah. That is because we are developing a durable movement of folks on the ground. Yeah. That's why I'm nervous about the fact that, when you shut a DOE, you take away, and you know this, you shut the Department of Education, you also take away the Office of Civil Rights, one of the few institutions in this country's history that has made it their business to support disabled babies from K through 12. Young women who have been sexually assaulted on campuses, when the police don't believe the young woman who's been raped on our college campus. OCR, we're telling the story. Government and the Democrats have not done a good job of talking about the vital vocation of government workers. Well, that changes. It changes with the 119 Congress. You will get into the homes, into the living rooms, we're knocking on doors. It will change. But more importantly, you guys call me a lot. I need you to call the Republicans. There's a Republican office right across from mine. And in the morning, I'm walking and it's like, I'm trying to get used to DC time. My phones are already ringing and it's half of y'all in this room. And this brother, his phones aren't ringing at all. Right? Even the Republicans are beginning to call the Democratic office and saying, please call us. I need us to shake up, even if you're not a constituent, keep them busy. Keep them working, hold them to account, tell your neighbors, but also tell your cousins, in the Midwest and in the South that we actually need to save the soul of the nation. I'm worried about our Social Security, but I came to Congress, as a street fighter, to be in it, not to be a shrinking violet. I do believe that the younger generation in the House of Representatives is going to save us. Seriously.
We have a question from a group of 8th grade students at Lincoln Middle School. And they're working on a project to make a bill into a federal law. What can we do to make this happen?
Well, you're going to visit my office, and you're going to get on the phone, and you're going to, thank you for coming, and we're going to draft some legislation together. So why don't we just do that? And again, the purpose of being a legislator is to draft legislation and move it through. I sponsored co-sponsored, I should say, not authored, over 50 bills so far. It's a very difficult time to move anything through Congress where we don't have the House, we don't have the Senate, we don't have the executive branch, and God save us, we don't have the Supreme Court. That said, we cannot sit in paralysis of analysis and figure out what we do. We have to legislate every day. We have to be organizing. So I would love to hear what the bill is about, and I'm sure it's good because it's coming from our babies. Children, young people come first. They have the courage where we fail. Some of your best work will come from the mouths of young people who are not yet tainted and still believe that people should be able to eat 3 times a day, that people should be able to get health care when they need it, that referees, and hear me, referees and coaches shouldn't be worried about the genitalia of the young people. They need time until they're taught something a lot different, right? So I would encourage the elementary schools to get with Eden and our legislative team, and let's just start looking up some justice.
I'm going to do one more written question, and then we do want to hear from folks in the room. So we'll turn the mic over to live questions. But somebody asked about GOP negotiations and tariffs. How can we help?
I think politicians lie to people a lot, right? I actually can't say I don't know. Because if in fact we were in normal times, there would be normal processes. The President of the United States is crippling the global economy by playing folks for fools. Yeah. Right? These tariffs so there is tariff policy. That's smart. I got my master's degree in public sector economics. I get it, I understand international trade and movement. The tariff policy, it's not even a policy, it's like raggedy print on paper that has come out of the executive office in the last executive orders. And it's not even his own economic advisors think it's smart policy. It's like politics with the international economy. And you know who hurts right here in Alameda County? Our union workers. You know who hurts right now? The folks in Chinatown who literally have cultural goods that are almost double the price. You know who hurts? The babies who deserve sickle cell treatment. We're trying to expand the unit at Children's Hospital, and there are There are holdups right now on the actual, like the brick and mortar that will build that expansion. It's just evil and cruel. So you don't think that, when you have evil and cruel policy, you would think that there would be a quick fix with, again, the best economists in the world telling our president this is not a good idea. He doesn't listen because he's a bully. That said, we're going to be in House Democrats and members of the United States Senate, and again, other forces are continuing to try and attempt to hold this president accountable on that tariff policy. But you know who I'm most proud of? Even our adversaries. Yeah, I'm saying, some of our adversaries, like China, is saying, no, don't play this war with us. Mexico is saying, don't play this war with us. Canada is saying, not on our watch. We cannot be a global player and expect us to negotiate you with on anything. So again, I think the story is clear. We need a new president. Like the American people and our neighbors. I mean, from the Ukraine to Canada, we are losing. We have lost our space in the global economy and on the global stage. And we deserve better. But I do want to say this, and I know we're going to get into the conversation. I know we don't have much time again. This is the first meeting that I'll be here. The framers. And I talk about the framers a lot of people say, well, the framers didn't have you in mind, disabled black girls. I know. We have to take those rights. Okay, nothing is ever given, right? We have to take rights. But the framers' intention was to create a republic. And remember, we all read this in seventh grade and 12th grade, depending on what school district you went to. When the framers came out of the building after that long weekend, their conference of writing what we would be, the wife of the then mayor of Philadelphia came and said, well, what do we have? Does anyone know the story? Yes. What do we have? We have a republic. We have a republic, and that sentence, say that loud. If we can keep it. They knew that one, they were trying to get away from the king. They also knew they were creating something that never existed before, and that it would be a thinly veiled democracy. We are less than 300 years in, brothers and sisters. We're right here at that moment. The country is in intensive care. The republic is in intensive care. It's not, I was saying a few weeks ago, is it in hospice? And someone has to remind me, because I know a little bit about hospice, so I was in hospice. Hospice is terminal. We can get it back because it is all that we know and it is all that we have. The understanding that you will actually retire with some dignity, that your child, your baby will be protected at school from K through 12 and literally be taught what it means to be free, right? There's an executive order that I just went through a couple days ago about corporal punishment in schools. Like, where are we? Where are we? So folks, again, as the crazy and the chaos continues to come in, and that actually is the brilliant strategy. The crazy and the chaos. You don't know where to look. You're being hemmed up this way and that way and this way. Evil won't prevail for much longer. It won't. I am in that capital every single day. We are coming early and we are leaving late. I do think that we were left a bit flat-footed in the very beginning of this administration. I mean, you couldn't fathom the president would come in, nominate the craziest people to lead the agency, and have some Democrats actually in the Senate vote yes. And then have a president and a Republican Senate say the hell with the Constitution, we are going to do what we want. And they read into, and you all know this, they read into an old Roberts opinion even before Roberts said, and the court said, you can do whatever you want as the President of the United States, read into old laws or opinions which make this catastrophe so much worse. The Democrats got to get together. Our infrastructure around communications, I'm working on that with other Dems. We will protect public, listen listen, this is the party that deeply cares about the poor, the wretched, the widow, and the disabled. We'll get there. Okay, let's take about 3 or 4 questions. And that will fast, kind of rapid fire, and we'll see where we go. So,
All
let's
right.
get to it.
Yes, so I will give instructions, which is that if you have a question, Ellie here will bring you the microphone, and yes, our Congresswoman.
Why don't we do like 3, and then I'll try to summarize, and we'll do 3 more, and then.
First.
And- Hi, thank you.
My name is Barbara Hamilton. There are a little bit nervous.
Don't be nervous, I'm nervous too. Listen, I work for you, you're my boss.
There are currently convicted male sex offenders housed with women in California state prisons, such as Sean Gustafson and Richard Masbruch. Incarcerated women have been raped and punished for speaking out about this. They are terrified. Given your lifetime support of women and girls,
Yep.
would you support ending this atrocity and removing these male rapists from women prisons?
First of all, I do really respect your question, and I want to be clear, I've done work, and thank you for being so respectful. These conversations can get really intense when we're talking about women, girls, transgender folks. I just want to be completely clear. I have worked inside the California Youth Authority for years when it was in Ventura for girls. I have worked at the federal prison here in Alameda County with young women and girls. I helped to start the Sister Warriors Coalition with its 10,000 strong, 10,000 women and girls belong, and I would encourage you to work with us at the Sister Warriors Coalition. You know, women who have been in the foster care system, the juvenile justice system, and yes, the country's largest, we have the largest per capita incarcerated women's population in the country, which is a shame. The work of the Sisters Warriors Coalition is clear that one, we are over incarcerating women in this state, and that women should, in fact, particularly most of the women in the state that are incarcerated are themselves victims. I want you to think about working with girls who are on the streets, girls who are in the juvenile and foster care system. What we will not do as a community is not honor victims, but what we're not also going to not do is throw all transgender people under the bus. And there are folks who are continuously using women as a proxy for their bigotry. And for me, as someone who is a lifelong advocate for women and girls who have been in cages, it is important that we protect those sisters at all costs, prior to their incarceration, during their incarceration, and like few folks, I would say, in this room, ensure that when those women get out, they have a place to stay, a job, and the healing that they deserve. Always stand up for girls. And again, would love to invite you to the movement that we've created for over 30 years, protecting women and girls who are incarcerated on our streets in horrible facilities. We have to build a big tent. And who would ever support violence against women? Who would ever support violence and over-incarceration of young women who can't get employment? Not me. I love the question. Let's work more together.
My name is Alameda Simon.
What grade are you in?
Oh, I'm a senior. But I had a question.
Where?
Oh, at the showdown.
Okay.
So I had a question about like campaign money.
Yeah.
Especially with the open election, there were discussions of like corporate donations. And like especially in the House, you're always running for re-election.
Yeah.
What's your stance on corporate donations, like
Yeah.
especially to you individually, and how it affects your like voting factor?
Yeah, I love it. So in my race, okay, so in my race for Congress, like this first race, well, one, I am supported by Incenses United, right, which is an amazing organization that wants to get all bad and corporate money out of elections. And in my first race, and this is my first race, as a member of Congress, we gotta run every 2 years. There is money that I'm not gonna take, right? There is money that I also want to invite in. So my first race, I took not a dime of anything that had to do with anything corporate. Moving forward, I want to be very careful. There's a big old utility the other day that said, we want to give you resources. No, I will never take that money. I will never take coal money. I will never take tobacco money. I will never take alcohol money. Folks in my family and many of our families have struggled through abuse. I will never take defense money. And I can say those as never. Will I take resources from a neighborhood CPA that started a PAC that wants to create opportunities for women of color to run for office? Absolutely, right? So I want to be thoughtful. I want to be really thoughtful. And I actually want you and others to continue to hold me accountable to these conversations, because I do think, and I have met heroes, and they're like, well, when you have these big folks running against you, you need to figure out how to, have your coffers so you can fight back. I will tell you, until we end Citizens United, money will be dirty, will be even good money and bad money. At the end of the day, there is a reason why I'm the only single mother of a school-age kid in the House and the Senate. There's a reason for that. These positions were not made for people of color, for women, for poor people. It's a nasty game. And so one of the things that I will in my heart, like with all that I have, when it gets to the point where I'm actually having to think a very long time about taking $5,000 that can take my soul, it will be time for you to replace me. Okay. And yeah, there's just too much money in politics. It's unfortunate. I mean, the billions of dollars that were spent in the last election, in this county, we have 8,000, almost right, we have 9,000 people that are sleeping on the concrete, right? And we can't buy votes, right? Next question.
Hi, Congresswoman Simon. As a public educator who teaches texts and content that goes against all the anti-DEI executive orders, how are you going to help protect us when we continue to teach the truth? And what would you recommend for people like me who want to teach the truth, who teach STAMP, who teach accountable, who teach about ethnic studies, who teach about the history of queer people in the United States, and say that queer history is American history, that Black history is American history?
First of all, one of the things that's really important, again, I'm so happy that I have my mentor and Miss Lee. Miss Lee was actually my professor at Mills College. I'm a psychologist, by the way. The teachers actually need to teach politicians how to talk about teaching, right? So that's number one. Number two, listen, and this is my personal opinion. Education must be liberatory, right? It must be liberatory. I don't know who created the acronym diversity, equity, inclusion. I almost feel like it was like a tech thing. Like the big tech guys kept getting sued for being racist. So they created these like tables and like I went to a few Black Googler network meetings and teach the truth. Teach American history. Why I always say, as somebody, it took me 12 years as a single mom to get through college. I mean, 12 years at Mills College. I still have a lot of stupid debt, okay? Class here, a class there. And again, coming from the Young Women's Freedom Center, where I'm working with young women like myself who struggled so hard to get through middle school and high school because the adults in their lives, including system actors, couldn't get it together. And so they never got to experience university. But one of the things I learned at university, when you're there and you're taught by folks who have read The Pedagogy of Hope, when you are taught by people who read hooks, when you're taught by folks who really understand what the social contract demands of us, you live a freer life. You live a free and more liberated life. If you read Paulo Freire, which I would encourage you to read, you would understand that all we have as a free nation is to leave the doctrinization of a booking education where you're just learning 1+1. We want a nation where we create free thinkers. The free thinkers, like that sister at the CRISPR lab right here in Oakland, right at Berkeley, who has figured out through her cell research how to cure sickle cell anemia. I hope I will continue to join you and teachers in the labor movement, teachers who have not yet figured out how to get into the labor movement, folks who want to teach their kids at home, teach their kids in classes, that we actually have to, if we are going to sustain a global force, that we will need children who understand how to move against hate and bigotry, who can read against the lines, who just don't open Facebook or don't just open Instagram and call that their university, right? We want to teach folks who understand how to go to the source and be able to ask why, ask how, ask when, ask what. I thank you so much for your service, because here is the real thing. When you see authoritarianism creep, it's not creeping no more. It's moving. It's moving like a water slide. You will continue to see folks who have been indoctrinated by messages that have no basis. Those indoctrinations messages, I mean, you see what they did all around the world. To incarcerate, murder, create genocide. We have seen this playbook. It is still right now, right here. I will remind you that in this city, many of our foremothers and fathers watched as Japanese Americans lined up in the streets and left their homes with keys on their necks. We watched because we believed a propaganda that literally problematized a whole culture and ethnic race of people and said that they were unsafe. We watched as we sent them to concentration camps. So yes, I will stand with teachers every single moment of the day, and I will pray for the people who have been not literally indoctrinated with a pedagogy of repression. We just have to.
Hello, sorry, Congresswoman, unfortunately.
One more.
We do.
Because this couple has been raising their hands so high.
And then our dear, wonderful ASL interpreters coming.
They have to go. And then I know that our folks who make this building nice also have to go.
This is going to be very quick. I've been following citizens impeachment,
Yes.
and they have 15 members of Congress on record as being in favor of impeachment. You're on as no comment.
Okay, well, I'll tell you right now. Okay,
Yes.
so the whole thing that happens in the Congress, which I've learned, is you get like a ton of emails every day from different members of Congress, and we capture 90% of them. So there are some letters that I'm learning, I'll learn 3 days after, hey, I didn't sign on to that letter. We didn't see it. It's in that 9,000 emails. We have 5 staff in our office. I'll tell you right now, I am very much in favor of impeaching the president. And I also believe what's been so hard, sir, what has been so hard, and I gotta tell you, as somebody who has been here on the ground for so long, wanting to make sure that my actions actually help to shift directly the material conditions of real people. You know, I have found it hard in this war. We are in a war of ideas. We're in the war of the sanctity of all of us in the Republic. I do have some problems with some of the tools that we have, right? I want to just say letters are great, and I'm signing on to letters every single day. And I will continue to do that. I will continue to push legislation, and also give, a big fist up to our litigation partners in the NGO space. Some of that work, folks have said, is absolutely performative, and I agree. So as we continue, hell yeah, I support a president being kicked out of office who really doesn't see my mother as human and who wants to sell her into the river, who wants to take away her Social Security. She's been serving veterans for 35 years. She was literally a retired woman who was asking the same question that you all are asking. I want to impeach a president who has control over a party who wants to bring us back to 1952 America, segregated America. Absolutely. Will 11 get us there? Absolutely not. Will a movement get us there? Absolutely yes. Will voters absolutely get us there? I'll sign the letter. I'll sign the letter. But what is more important to me in this moment, more important that we have a comprehensive strategy to take back our freedoms. I really am. Thank you for coming. I'm so thankful for the folks here who got us all here together. Be good to each other. Take that breath. And do you want to say just the last couple of words?
Sister, thank you for coming to our city.